Good afternoon from Bernie High School. I'm Anna Racy from Viewpoints. Today we're discussing the migration in Germany. We are joined by...
I'm John Hodge. I'm a senior at Bernie High School, and I'm a member of Die Linke.
Hi, I'm Reed Lindemann. I'm a sophomore at Bernie High School, and I'm representing the Alternative for Deutschland.
Hi, I'm Nick Flores. I'm a senior at Bernie High School, and I'm representing the SPD.
Hi, I'm Dakota Smith. I'm representing the CDU, promoting freedom and experience.
I'm Ashley Marquardt. I'm a sophomore at Bernie High School, and I'm representing the FDP.
I'm Elizabeth Hilbert. I'm a junior at Bernie High School, and I'm representing the Green Party.
All right, my first question is, can Germany afford to have more people migrating to it?
Well, the question of migratory informants can only be tackled through an assessment of past and present issues. The current contingency regarding the current influx of migrants can be answered with the fact that under current legislation, 6 billion euros have already been set aside to provide German housing and German care for those 800,000 refugees this year. In regards to future delegation, Die Linke proposes a more progressive tax system and universal base income to pay for those individuals seeking cultural integration and job reform. Through a socialist welfare program as Die Linke promotes, we will be able to continue our efforts to give immediate aid to those in need that are coming into our country each year, while allowing those who seek vocational and cultural integration to be well advised in that field.
I believe that we cannot afford any more migrants in Germany, simply because we have 458,000 coming from the Middle East, and overall we have 2.19 million migrants of 2016 that have came in. Germany cannot afford any more migrants like this. In 2016, we have lost about 1 million people that have moved overseas and away from Germany. If this rate keeps up, we will be overtaken by immigrants. And by that point, we cannot sustain that economy. They will vote socialist, and we cannot afford socialism. Socialism has been proven time and time again that it does not work. And the immigrants have been voting the SPD for all the elections now. 47% have voted for the SPD, and East Germany proved that we cannot afford socialism.
I believe, as a representative for the SPD, that Germany can take in all these migrants. I think that we should be like Canada or the US or New Zealand or Australia, who have adopted the immigration rules for free immigration for people to come in and out. And through the EU, there's a budget that you get from allowing a certain amount of immigrants to come in and out. And I think a big problem is that a lot of people are taking in immigrants and they're receiving this money to sustain their countries. But a big problem is that there's people that aren't, but they're still getting the money. And I believe the more immigrants we have, the more money we'll receive. And so it'll be a better... It'll support our economy, and they'll help us with our culture.
Well, the CDU believes that the German people will not turn its back on people in need. We understand that in the past mistakes have been made, but in the future we will make sure that everybody is safe. And the biggest deal here is integration with Muslims and immigrants coming into Germany. But you can't deny the fact that Islam is now part of Germany.
With the amount of migrants coming into Germany, we need to limit the amount that are coming in. There is too much, but we shouldn't just stop letting them in altogether. So to be able to do that, we can introduce the four-door policy, where we allow immigrants to come in to our country, but only under certain qualifications. And afterwards, when their country of origin, or where they came from, is now in peace, or the reason why they came into Germany is solved, then we will send those people back so we can control the amount of people who are coming into our country and the amount that are already in there.
I don't think of spending money is the correct way to look at our immigration problem, but more as investing in our future. We have an aging population in Germany, and immigrants are the future. All the skilled workers coming into this country are going to build the future.
For those of you that approve of migration into Germany, how will you make sure that the migrants feel at home?
Well, I think the question lies in the political philosophy for the German individuals at whole. The dominance of fascism in our current standings with groups such as the AfD is an aberration to humanity. We must look at these aliens coming from the Middle East, Africa, and beyond, not just as immigrants from a distant land, but as individuals in need of aid, similar to as if we were in need of aid. And Germany must look beyond the complications of seeing immigration as a sheer burden or a legislative nightmare, but instead an opportunity for German citizens to exercise their fulfilled right of responsibility towards helping those in need as human beings.
Okay, well, what I think is there are millions of immigrants risking their lives to flee from their war-torn countries, and then coming over here, just accepting them into the culture and into the country is a huge part, because it shows that someone still cares. And not only will we help them by giving them job opportunities, allowing them to become legal citizens of Germany, but also they'll be giving back to our culture by letting it grow and letting it flourish. And so I believe it goes hand in hand with us helping them, giving them safety and protection and a roof and money to provide for their families, and they'll give the same back to us.
I believe, as a representative of the CDU, that the German people will not, like I said, turn their back on people in need. The thing is that they're coming here and they're seeing groups such as far right and fascists, and they're getting scared, and for a good reason too. The German people need to understand that the immigrants coming in will now be a part of their country. And the immigrants coming in need to understand that they're going to be part of our country as well. So again, it comes down to integration. The German people must accept these people with open arms, and these people must accept them as their countrymen.
A way that we could integrate immigrants that are coming into Germany is we can do individualized molecular integration courses suited to their specific needs. So, for example, if they don't know any English or they don't know basic math, we can do that. We have the courses to be able to do that so they can fit into their society and they can get along with everyone and no one will discriminate them in any way. Another thing we can do, since we'll be teaching them English, is we make English the second language in administrative offices. So everyone can understand what everyone's saying and have no misunderstandings. And we can also abolish priority entrance for Germans over non-Germans in jobs and housing, so immigrants get a chance to get a place to live and also have a job to support their families.
A good way to help new immigrants feel at home is to help integrate them into our country, whether they want to stay or not. If someone's a refugee and they only stay here for 2 years, they don't know if they're going to stay here forever, and we need to give them classes in German and English and other things that they need to stay in Germany so that they can integrate into our society, and it helps them be productive citizens whether they stay here or not.
We've seen on the news that there have been attacks, and how can we make sure that if we do let in migrants that none of that happens and that we keep all of our citizens safe?
Well, under Die Linke's political philosophy, migrants will be treated the same way as German citizens are currently treated, as individuals who have the same equal respect under the law. That being said, they will be tried in the same judiciary system as German citizens. So to qualm fears of refugees have some sort of bias or us having a bias towards them favorably do not take into merit. Secondly, many believe that refugees have a more inclination to actually commit these violent crimes. Although the basis for this is largely xenophobic and even borderline racist, it's still legitimate and it can be curbed to some degree through Reformation classes of decriminalization. Through government-mandated programs with our socialist taxation program that we are interested in, we will be able to fund these programs that decriminalize and reinstitute upon further assessment.
I believe we cannot, there is no possible way to safely put these people together. Islam does not belong in Germany. These migrants do not belong in Germany. We will take in a few migrants every now and then, but not as many as we hopefully should, and hopefully not should. These people bring in their beliefs and they don't integrate. Instead of Germany integrating them, Germany's integrating, the immigrants are not integrating with Germany, the Germany is integrating with them. Germany's slowly becoming Muslim, and Germany is not Muslim. We cannot afford to be Muslim. We cannot afford to do that at all.
Well, I believe under legal immigration, much like the other countries, you never see a problem with Canada or the United States, for example, when they're going across the lines, when they're crossing each other's borders. You don't hear a huge problem with them because they're giving the same rights to each other that you would have going into either country. And so the Middle Eastern and Islam attacks, the people there, yes, there are bad people, but a huge problem is that we're not accepting them into the culture. And so I believe as long as we accept them and we closely watch the people, there's people that have gone through multiple times. They're leaders in the ISIS or whatever large organization that is a terroristic group there. And if we carefully watch over those people, then we'll be able to not only keep our citizens safe, but keep the immigrants safe that are fleeing from those different groups over there.
There will always be crimes, criminals, and killings, and attacks throughout the years. But parties like the Alternative Party here speaks about these people like they're subhuman, and that makes them very scared. They come over here and they see these parties trying to close the doors on them. Keeping people safe works on both sides. The German people must accept them and they must accept the German people. We have decided that wherever legally possible, we will not allow full-face veils for Muslim women. So it'll make it much more easier for Germans that are reluctant to letting so many immigrants in, and it'll make the process of integration go much smoother. But they need to be stopped. They need to stop being so scared by parties like the Alternative Party and far-right parties like this. So.
A way we can stop all the violence that is happening between the immigrants and the Germans is helping them integrate, making them as equal as they possibly can be. Even though we make them as equal as they can be, there will always be violence against each other, but it will at least reduce the violence. So as I said before, when we were discussing how we can integrate these immigrants that are coming into our borders, is we give them these courses so they can be in society and get along with everyone and understand what everyone's saying, so they can get the money they need for the jobs because they're doing the jobs correctly. And it will help reduce the violence between these people because there's very little things to not get along with.
I think something important that we are seeing here is that refugee crime can be German crime. What's the difference between a refugee that comes into this country and commits a crime for the first time than a native German that at the age of 20 decides to do some insane crime, even though they were born here and raised here? Crime happens everywhere, and labeling it refugee crime isn't going to stop it, and it even increases xenophobia and fear towards them.
So must Germany deal with this alone, or can we band together with other European countries to figure out the best solution to this problem?
Well, as Die Linke, our goal eventually and our hope would be that Germany would be able to financially support all these refugees. But logistically speaking, we understand this task is too monumental for one European nation to undertake. Therefore, we propose, through our extreme influence over the European Union, Germany that is, that we propose or mandate from other countries in the European Union that they share some of the burden through convincing through the power of the purse. Countries such as Greece that are not with the infrastructure to set up right now to care for these migrants and give them the job assimilation should be prompted with the option of getting financial aid to do so, the option of creating vocational training and education training and just primary aid for general need. This will not only allow Germany's reach of benevolence to extend across Europe, but also foster more cooperation for humanitarian aid throughout Europe.
To me, the only smart people in Europe is Poland. They are the only smart people. They have taken in no immigrants, none. And look how safe they are. Not one migrant attack since the European Union made all of us take in these refugees. Poland, the safest place in Europe. If I said that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, no one would believe me. Under Soviet rule, no one. The migrants are a problem. They are setting up Sharia courts where their laws overturn our laws. And what does that say to German laws? What does that say to the Muslims across the ocean? That their laws can overturn ours? That makes us look weak. We cannot look weak in this face of crisis. We have to look strong. And we have to stick together as a singular nation and not as the European Union, because the European Union has forced us to take in too many migrants, and we have to follow Poland.
I believe that the European Union, or the nations inside of it, they should band together and they should tackle this problem. Poland and Hungary, neither of them have taken in immigrants, but yet they still seem to receive financial aid, which is it's not equal to everyone. And so I believe that it should almost be a requirement as a nation that if you're going to receive money for something, then you should either do it or you should allow other nations to receive this financial aid so they could take in more immigrants and help them. So I think as long as the nations in the EU band together, there will be plenty of financial aid to take in as many asylum seekers needed.
The EU needs to band together and help their fellow man. This isn't about helping Muslims or anybody of a different race or religion. It's about helping people. These people's homes have been torn apart by war, by terror. They're leaving these places to come to Europe for a better home. And as for the Islamic law under the CDU, everyone will abide by German law. Muslim, German, Christian, it doesn't matter. You will abide by German law. So I do believe that we can reach out with our brothers and sisters in the EU and help each other to help these asylum seekers.
Europe has taken in a lot more immigrants than it has ever been before. Germany isn't the only country that is taking in an extraordinary number of immigrants. So I believe that Europe can band together to help put a stop to the amount of immigrants that are coming in and help stabilize the economy in the EU. So all of us together can put this policy, the four-door policy, into place so we can help reduce the amount of immigrants that are coming in.
I think the EU is a great start to solving Europe's immigrant problem, but as evidence that we're right here having this conversation, it obviously isn't working. And the EU needs to get together and try to find a common immigrant policy across all nations in the EU. Greece, Poland, Germany, France, everyone.
Points addressed today, and we would like to give our panelists the opportunity to address each other's opinions.
Yes, I would. The alternative party scares people, not only Muslim people, but across the world. It shows that racism and bigotry is still alive and well in Germany. Now, thinking about Germany as one single nation overall has led to events like the First and Second World War. We can't go back to history and start singling people out, including ourselves. We need to let these people in not as Muslims or non-Germans, but as people. We're helping them out as people. Thank you.
These people, like I said before, they're not following German law. You can say they're following German law, but they are not following German law. In the UK, there are about 300 Sharia law courts set up. Do you think they follow British law? Do you think they follow British law? Answer my question.
Are we in the UK? I thought we were in Germany.
Or do they follow their laws still, or what?
Well, last time I heard, we were running for German elections. In Germany, under the CDU, we will not allow full-face veils, which I do believe is a big problem for other people around the world, but we'll take that chance, and we will not allow Muslim law over German law. If a Muslim man walks into a store today and kills somebody, it'll be the same consequence as a German man born in Germany walks into a store and kills the same person.
I would like to concur that equality in law is a strong suit that we must uphold. Also, I would like to point out two fallacies in the AFD that I have of note, both moralistically and technically. First, in technicality, you point to socialist systems being a failure, but a number, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, all of which have higher quality of life standards and thriving economies through socialist reform taxation systems that are progressive.
And I have to stop you there because they don't use socialism. They use what they call the Nordic model. The Nordic model has been decreasing of lately because Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, their economies are slowly tanking, and they have to figure out if they want to keep the Nordic model and go bankrupt, or they're going to have to use a more capitalistic society in order to gain their wealth back.
The Nordic model is a form of social democracy that will continue until they exhaust their resources that are continuing their low populations
In the next 15 years.
and refugee support. There's no evidence for that basis. Secondly, their economies are currently thriving in comparison to those of the South, which have less reform for those in need of refugee aid. The correlation is evident in technicality. Moralistically, we must give aid to those individuals who are coming into our country seeking aid. It is not an issue of any sort of debt that can be burdened. It is an issue of helping individuals lead healthy lives and safe lives for their children. Even if some issues of contingency are true, and it will be a burden on Germany in some aspects, the opportunity must uphold itself. Because when Germany dehumanizes those at our borders, then we lose our sense of democracy.
We will now give our panelists a short amount of time to speak about their closing statements.
As Die Linke, it is our goal in totality to create a world free of hunger, oppression, marginalization, xenophobia, and inherent crippling isolation of refugee individuals. Therefore, we look on migration as not an issue of severe burden or strain upon the nations of Europe, but as an opportunity for us to express our humanitarian values and aid to those people in need around the globe. Thank you.
European identity and nationalism has been kept strong for over thousands of years. And to see now all these migrants coming in and ruining this heritage, it's not allowed here. We cannot allow it. Our European heritage, our German heritage must be kept strong. Our German laws must be kept strong. The German people must stand strong in these dark times.
CDU, earn your right, do what's right.
The CDU will promote experience and freedom for all mankind, not just for Germans, not just for Muslims. Please join us and we can do it. We can all do it. Thank you.
The TP is the best choice because it will help solve the migrant problem, and not only the migrant problem, but all the other problems that Germany and Europe is facing today.
As the Green Party, we believe that investing in migrants is investing in our future.
All right, that concludes this episode of Viewpoints. See you next time.